Good afternoon. Most of this afternoon's proceedings will be live streamed. Those with electronic devices capable of transmitting and recording may use them to transmit what they hear in the hearing room, but only after 15 minutes have elapsed since the event that they're describing. Those devices may not be used for recording or photography. Part of the proceedings will be the subject of reporting restriction orders. Those of you who are in the room will know that the restriction orders must be strictly complied with, and nothing must be broadcast to the outside world, which is the subject of such orders. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Could we have up, please, 735382? Mr. Docker, this is a document that the chairman referred to just before we rose for lunch. Could we have paragraph 2, please? The question is, what did you say to Mr. Lambert about his participation in the cell?
I have no recollection of saying anything to him about his participation in the cell. It wasn't something that was actually discussed between us.
Are you sure about that?
To the best of my memory and the best of my knowledge, yes.
And why was that?
I don't know. It didn't come into the conversation between us. I can't actually answer the question as to why. It just didn't occur to me.
Could we now go back to MSW? Do you now know who MSW is?
I've seen the identity of the person.
Could we have that document taken down and 735381 brought back up, please? This is the briefing note we looked at earlier. Could we have the 4th paragraph on the first page up, please? Was it Mr. Lambert who identified MSW?
The identity of MSW is completely unknown to me.
Was it Mr. Lambert who expressed the view that MSW was the quartermaster?
I have no knowledge of that whatsoever. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Did he explain to you the basis for his belief?
I don't know. I can't answer your question. I don't know who this person is. It doesn't ring any bells with me.
Could we go to the second page and the second paragraph, the second page, please? The providing intelligence source has also been fully identified to D.I. Gray, and arrangements are in hand for a specifically selected SO13 team to search his address and detain him for an appropriate period of time as a means of supporting his credibility. At this stage, it was thought that an attack was going to happen in the next few days, and the plans appear to be being laid to conduct a search of Bob Lambert's address. Is that right?
So I understand, yes.
And to detain him?
If necessary.
How did you identify Mr. Lambert to Mr. Gray?
D.I. Gray would have known him anyway.
Why was the squad to be specifically selected?
To search Bob Lambert's address. Sorry, I don't understand.
It says, arrangements are in hand for a specifically selected SO13 team. And I'm interested to know why the word specifically was added.
Are we talking about searching Bob Lambert's address?
Yes.
The only explanation I can give to that was, if I remember rightly, the man to lead the team, who was by then working in the SB cell in SO13, was also one of the sergeants in the office on SDS.
We'll come later to a search that was actually executed in September, and are you referring to Detective Sergeant Couch,
Yes,
who was a member of that team?
Yes.
Is it your evidence that he was due to be a member of the team in August as well?
I may have got muddled up, but I think you're right. You may be referring to the September one. As for this August one, I don't know.
It suggests there needs to be some form of specific selection. Were these officers going to be told that the person whose accommodation they were searching was an undercover police officer?
No.
And would that have been a breach of operational security if they'd done so?
Certainly, in my opinion, yes.
Did Lambert know that his address was going to be searched?
Yes.
And did he know that he might be detained?
Yes.
And was that an outcome that he thought might assist his cover?
Yes.
And what was your view as to the wisdom or otherwise of detention?
I didn't have a problem with it, because I knew if he was detained, he wouldn't be charged with any substantive offence, and therefore it might enhance his credibility, as you say.
Is it likely that he would have been questioned under caution?
You'd have to ask the anti-terrorist squad that. They were the ones who were doing the investigation.
You have to forgive me, you've had rather more experience in the police than I have, but based on your many years of experience, someone who's arrested on suspicion of being involved in a terrorist attack, would they likely be interviewed under caution?
Quite possibly.
Did you give that possibility any consideration?
Not at the time.
Can we take that down now, please? Could we have up 735362? This is a minute dated the 26th of August 1987, and I'll give you a moment to look at it. We'll start on the first page, please. Can you help us with the discussions, the extensive discussions that you had had with TN42 that are referred to in that note?
TN
42, the signatory, Detective Superintendent TN42.
Yes, I think I know who that is. I have no immediate recollection of those discussions.
And if we go down the page, it'll give you an opportunity to read what had been seen by the surveillance team. And then if we go over the page, let's see what had come in from your source. We have just the top paragraph on minute 18, thank you. This has come from Lambert, hasn't it?
Must have done, yes.
And it clearly shows that he has very good access to what Clark and Shepherd are doing, doesn't he?
Yes.
Did you discuss that with him?
Well, I must have done, because I'm quoted here as relaying the information from the source excuse me, back to C Squad.
Did you ask him how he'd got that intelligence?
No.
Could we take the document down now, please, and have 735376? So you sign the minute sheet, and then if we go to the report itself, it's a report signed by Chief Superintendent Parker, dated the 28th of August 1987. This is the report which records that the attack is being postponed. And if we look first of all at paragraph 2, I'll give you a moment to look at that.
Okay.
Are you able to help us with whether or not Mr. Lambert went on that reconnaissance?
I don't know.
And is that because you didn't ask?
It's because I don't know. It's as simple as that.
Did Mr. Lambert say anything to you about how he'd got that intelligence?
I have no recollection of that at all.
Could we go to paragraph 3, please? It's quite a striking occurrence, isn't it, the appearance of 200 liberated rats?
Yes.
Can you recall that?
Very, very vaguely.
Can you recall whether Mr. Lambert told you anything about how the rats got there?
Well, they were obviously liberated from an animal establishment somewhere, but I can't recall exactly what he might have said to me, no.
Is it likely that there was a conversation about it?
There might have been.
Did he say anything about why it was that the presence of those rats at Helen Steele's address meant that the attack had to be postponed?
No, I don't know. I can't put the two things together, and I don't have any recollection of the reasoning behind it.
Can you recall whether there was ever any discussion about the removal of the rats?
There is something in my mind that says they had to be taken somewhere else. Obviously, they couldn't be left there, but more than that I couldn't tell you.
Can you help us with whether or not Mr. Lambert played a part in removing the rats from Helen Steele's address?
I don't know. He might well have done. I can't answer it because I don't know. Can't remember.
If their presence was impeding the progress of the attack, removing them would give a degree of control about when the attack was going ahead, wouldn't it?
I suppose so. If they had to be moved, yes.
Was there any discussion about taking control by having Lambert play a part in the removal of the rats?
There may have been. I can't remember it.
Can you recall whether that is something you permitted Lambert to do?
No, because I have no real recollection of what happened after this minute here.
Can you recall whether you prohibited Lambert from removing the rats?
I can't.
is it likely that you would have done so?
I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Could we take that down, please, and go to 735363. This is one of TN 42's minutes. It's dated the 28th of August. Look on the first page at the second paragraph, please. This is about the termination of surveillance in the light of the postponement of the attack. It was explained that the source should be in a position to give early warning of Clark's and Shepard's intention. This line of intelligence linked to other coverage of those involved means that we are confident of being able to monitor their preparations and deploy surveillance at an appropriate time. Presumably, losing track of people who were intent on planting improvised incendiary devices was the last thing you wanted to happen.
Absolutely.
And does it follow that you were very confident in Bob Lambert's ability to keep tabs on Clark and Shepard?
Yes.
And that was because he was right in the cell?
You say he was in the cell. In all probability, he might well have been, but he never admitted that to me, and I'm not sure that I ever asked him about it anyway.
Could we take that down now, please, and have 735377 up? Again, page 1, paragraph 3. This is Special Branch Briefing Note, 28th of August. The leading conspirators, Clark and Shepard, are still planning to make 4 devices which would be put down probably on Friday the 11th of September 1987. So again, excellent intelligence about the forthcoming new date.
Yes.
Leading conspirators. Was there ever any, did Lambert ever say anything to you about who the other conspirators were?
Not to my memory, no.
Did you ever ask him?
Well, no. Clark and Shepard were always put forward as the main protagonists in this.
Was it in your mind that when arrests were made of Clark and Shepard, people would want to know how the police had known to arrest them?
Yes.
And one of the problems you had was Mr. Lambert was very close to them.
Yes.
Was a decision taken not to arrest any other conspirator to leave more possibilities as to who might have assisted police?
The decision on whom and who to arrest was not taken by me. That would have been taken by Chief Superintendent Commander rank.
I'm not asking who took the decision. I'm asking whether there was a plan deliberately to exclude some people, a person or some people, from arrest for operational security reasons.
There wouldn't have been a plan specifically to exclude our undercover officer because that would have shown him up straight away, being the level he was at within the organisation.
And what about other people?
Other people weren't my concern.
Could we take that down now, please? Sorry, can we go to the second page and have paragraph 7? Again, an assertion here about confidence in Lambert's position. So you are telling your chain of command, my man is on it.
In broad terms, yes.
Could we have 735374, please? This is dated the 4th of September. That's a Friday. And it's a report. I'll give you a moment to read it, but it's making promises about the intelligence that will be obtained over the coming weekend. Is it likely you got this intelligence from Lambert on the Thursday and that it was typed up on the Friday?
I can't remember when I got it.
Is that one possibility?
It's a possibility.
The other, it was telephoned in?
Might have been telephoned in.
Again, you have a source who is very confident that he's able to keep tabs on those who are going to manufacture the devices.
Yes.
And you have a very high degree of confidence in his ability to continue to do so.
Yes.
And presumably, if you'd had any doubts, you would have expressed them to your chain of command.
Yes.
And you did exactly the opposite, because you did have confidence in him.
I did.
Could we take that down, and could we have up 735-375, please? This is a briefing note dated the 6th of September 1987, so this is the Sunday. If we could, it's produced by and signed by TN42. Could we have up, please, paragraph 1? So it appears you telephoned TN42 at 10:30 on a Sunday morning. And that is because there was a change of plan.
Yes.
And therefore you troubled your boss on a Sunday morning.
I don't know whether he was at Scotland Yard anyway. I don't know whether I was at home or whether I was in work. I can't remember.
Right. And presumably Lambert had communicated to you either earlier that morning or late on the Saturday night. Can you remember which?
No.
And can you remember how he got in touch with you? Did you meet him or did he telephone you?
Most likely he would have telephoned me.
Again, did you make any inquiries as to how Lambert had got that information?
No.
And if we look at paragraph 3, please. And the urgency of the report is explained by the fact that later that same day, the intelligence was that Clark and Shepherd were going to experiment with a new type of device. So, very important intelligence.
Yes.
And paragraph 4. Nevertheless, assembly of the IIDs for the next attack was likely to take place on Wednesday the 9th. If we go to paragraph 5, the 11th remained the selected day for the devices to be put down. It would appear that the prospective targets have now been chosen. However, for security reasons, their details are being confined to the 2 principals. No mention here of who is going to plant the devices. Did you ask any questions about that?
I may have done. I can't remember. If Bob had given me any other information, that would have been sent across as well.
And presumably committed to paper.
Yes.
Did it strike you as curious that so close to an attack on the 11th, this is the preceding Sunday, that nobody had been identified to plant the devices?
I don't think it occurred to me at the time, no.
Were you not the least bit inquisitive about why that was?
I don't recall being inquisitive, no.
Because presumably you would at the very least like to know who had joined the conspiracy to plant the devices, wouldn't you?
Yes.
And ideally you would want to arrest them.
Yes.
But you didn't ask.
I didn't ask. And I was confident that the two protagonists would have been arrested before they had a chance to plant the devices anyway.
Could we take that down and have 735373, please? This is a report on the Monday following the weekend we've just been looking at. If we look at who signed it, signed by Chief Superintendent MacLeod. Could we go back to paragraph 2, please? There it explains where the intelligence was obtained at an anarchist benefit gig in North 16. Had that information been imparted to you on the Sunday by Bob Lambert?
I don't think so, otherwise it would have been forwarded in the normal way with the other information.
Well, how did it come to be recorded on the Monday in a typed report then?
I don't know.
Did you have any further conversations with Lambert between the Sunday morning and this report being typed on the Monday?
I can't remember.
Could we go to paragraph 3, please? And I'll give you a moment to read it. This was referred to in the briefing note we looked at earlier. It's a switch of venue for manufacture. That's of crucial importance, isn't it, to your plan to arrest Clark and Shepherd. Did you interrogate at all Mr. Lambert about the reliability of that intelligence?
No.
Why not?
Because knowing Bob as I did, I was happy that that information was accurate.
Completely reliable.
Yes.
Could we go to paragraph 4, please? I'll give you a moment to read that. We're back to the rats, and they are linked to the day on which the devices are going to be manufactured and the attack goes ahead. Did you discuss at all with Lambert what is described here as the full resolution of the rat problem?
I don't recall discussing it with him, but I may have done.
And it is important to control over the timing, isn't it?
Reading this, in respect of the removal of the rats, you mean?
Yes.
Seems to be very important to them.
And was there a decision that Lambert either would or would not move the rats in order to facilitate the construction of the devices at a time when Clark and Shepherd could be arrested?
I have no recollection of agreeing to or stopping him from such a course of action.
Did anybody else?
I don't know.
You know, you've got with surveillance teams don't come cheap, do they?
No.
The surveillance teams have been working over the weekend. Everybody's hoping they'll manufacture the devices on the 9th and be arrested, aren't they?
I think that was the plan.
So doing the best you can, I appreciate it's a long time ago. Was there any plan to remove the rats to enable the arrest to go ahead?
As far as I was concerned, I did not know, or I don't recollect a plan to remove the rats. Undoubtedly they were removed.
Was Bob Lambert prohibited in any way from removing the rats?
To the best of my memory, my knowledge, my memory, I don't recall prohibiting him, because I'm not sure that the subject of the rat removal came up.
Did DCI MacLeod prohibit Lambert from removing the rats?
You'd have to ask him that.
As far as you are
Don't know.
aware?
I don't know.
Do you know how the rats were in the event removed?
Presumably put in a vehicle of some sort and removed somewhere else. I don't know.
By whom?
I have no idea.
Could we go to paragraph 8, please? Give you a moment to look at it. Did Lambert tell you anything more about his connections with activists in Manchester?
Nothing I can recall.
Before the arrests on the 11th of September, on the 9th of September, did he ever speak about there being any spare devices, IIDs, which had been manufactured but were being kept in storage?
I can't remember that at all.
Anything like that?
No.
Could we take that down now, please? And could we go to 738106? The YouTube, I'm told, is coming down now.